Since I've gone live because I've been busy and I was in a car accident. So yeah, that can interfere with my abilities to make videos, especially when I don't make that much money off of them. I'm making pennies right now, hoping to make that into dollars and thousands of dollars. I'm not going to be ashamed about my desire to make money from YouTube or anything else. So yeah, I really like martial arts. And yeah, I really like God, but yeah, I really would like to get money too. But let's talk about discernment and departure. A secular source and a religious source pretty much said about the same thing. So I thought that would be a good point for me to talk about. Discernment and departure. Basically, from a martial arts standpoint, you need to have discernment about who you are studying under and with, so that you know when it is time for you to depart away from that particular school or stop associating yourself with those particular martial artists. In terms of discernment, there are only... Okay, someone said, if you really like God, why do you and your students bow in class? Hold that thought, Cecil. I want to make another video about that. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I like that question, actually. But I'm going to make another video. That's a good topic for a video. So I'm going to save that. Since I got some time, I'll make another video about that right after this. But anyway, there are only two things that make me want to leave a martial arts school for me. That's when it becomes too expensive and too sadistic. Okay? So if you feel like people are just being used as a rag doll and they're not really learning, they're pretty much just target practice for the more experienced practitioners, that's when it's time to leave a martial arts school. But honestly, the main thing should be it costs too much. It's too expensive. I mean, you do have to, I do allow for a certain leeway of sadism, in my opinion, because it is a martial art. I mean, it is physical. It is what it is. People are going to get hurt. Even I found, as now a babe in Aikido, there's still some pain there because you have to fall. Even though Aikido is about harmonizing, I mean, there's still some pain there. Even if it's the pain from falling. The only reason why I haven't had a lot of pain yet from Aikido is because I already know how to fall from Judo. Even though the falling is different in Aikido, that is a transferable skill. So, plus I'm just getting started. But there's going to be some pain. But you know what I'm talking about. If you've got the senior students just beating up on the junior students, not trying to show them anything. Now, it's one thing if, okay, here we go. This is something I went over the other day, too. They're standing like this when they're sparring. And I don't floor them. I tap them in the chest with my foot to let them know you have a big hole here and you're standing too flat. Turn your guard to the side for Taekwondo sparring and have your hand up here or here. That's one thing. Someone else coined the term, I can't remember who it was, but they call that being mean constructively. Or, you know, if you've ever taken boxing lessons, if you got your chin up, your coach might, that you're sparring with, your coach might tap you in the chin. So you can tuck your chin. If they've got a habit and you keep telling them and they keep falling for that, they keep leaving that spot open, they might be a kinesthetic learner, which means they learn by touch. So you might have to tap them there a couple of times and hit them with a little bit more force, make it hurt just a little bit. Don't injure, make it hurt, so then they'll cover it up. Because I got a spot I like to leave open, and they used to hit me in it all the time. And now I go in and I instinctively cover it up. One of my students also has that same hole, and I had to tap him there a couple of times. And then now when I come at him, even if his hands are way up here, he'll bring that elbow down every time. So that is the type of pain that you need. Plus, I mean, hey, stretching hurts. You know, if you're doing judo, sometimes being thrown hurts for a bit. And you get up and the pain eventually goes away. That is a necessary pain. Even if some people like doing that, that's some necessary pain. But continuing on in an arm bar after the person is long since tapped out and you hear the bone cracking, that's unnecessary. Or kicking people in the head when you don't need to outside of a tournament, that's unnecessary. Yes, but we should remember that traditional martial arts are not MMA. Yes, we should. That was Cecil again. And also, if you ever look at what's in the classical Taekwondo books and encyclopedia, I need to finish reading that encyclopedia. I got halfway through the encyclopedia. I need to read that again. General Choi believed in coming full contact but stopping it an inch from the target area. So you're punching that hard, like I just did at the camera. Look at my body. I punched right at the camera. See, I messed up because I touched the camera. You need to come that close to the camera. Where's the... That close... Where is it? There it is. That close to the camera. Yes, Asif said, I agree. I read that. You need to come that close to the target. So that means I was hitting with full power. Let me even... You got to come that hard and not hit the person. Because that's the ultimate in control and technique. When you can do that, you know you can use that blow under pressure. And now I actually agree with that. I see where he's coming from. But the problem is if you do that these days with a lot of people, especially beginners, they're going to lose their minds. They're going to think they're not learning anything. Now, in terms of discernment, this relates to cash too. I mean, if it costs too much for you, whether they're ripping you off or not, because I don't necessarily think that stuff that's expensive is necessarily a ripoff. But if you can't afford it, man, you can't afford it. You can't afford it. That's just how it is. But but in discernment, if you see them ripping other people off, they're probably going to eventually rip you off too. If you see them abusing other people or mistreating other students, they're probably going to do the same thing eventually to you. If they're abusing other students, they're probably going to do the same thing to you. Okay? If you hear these allegations that this instructor has done this type of abuse and that type of abuse, and I won't go into what type, then they're probably going to do it to you. Okay, I missed that comment. He was saying about in Kyokushin they do a lot of full contact. I bet that's what this icon is for. Okay, well, I missed it. But yeah, in Kyokushin, they allow for a lot more contact. But if you notice that in Kyokushin, they don't allow you to punch full contact in the head. It's here. And you can kick to the head because they're probably assuming that you can't get a lot of power from your legs going to the head. But I know from Taekwondo that you can. Hasib says true. That's where I kind of disagree with Kyokushin because a good kicker can kick upside the head and crack the skull. That's what those kicks are for. They're for cracking ribs and skulls and stuff. So, check out those two links below because the secular link is from women in the right wing talking about how they're being discriminated against by right-wing men. The right-wing men, they know that those guys might be racist, and then they wonder why those guys are turning around and being sexist. If you see them discriminating against one group of people, they're probably going to discriminate against another group of people too, and that might even include you. Okay? And the religious source is talking about how you've got to be able to detect when there are evil people in your church and you need to get away from them. Hasib 2 says, we emphasize protecting the head and teaching the students not to be malicious. As do I, my friend, as do I. But you know in this, yes, two other students. Yes, exactly. But you know in this day and age of keep it real and let's be hard and all this other stuff, all this other nonsense, that's really been floating around since the dawn of time. It's hard to convince some people that that's what you need to do and for them to feel like they're learning at the same time. So, take a look at those links on discernment. You need to have your antennas up so that you know you're not around people who are corrupt, who aren't worth being around. I'm not going to repeat that comment because I don't want heat from them. I'm not afraid of them. I just don't feel like being bothered with it. What the heck? I didn't make it up. I didn't say it. He said that is the MMA talk. So, anyway. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks for hanging with me this long. Like, comment, and subscribe. And check out those 2 links. One from a religious source, one from a totally secular source. So you got one from over here, one from over there, and they actually kind of overlap. So check them out. I'm not going to get a dime if you look at them. I just thought it was interesting, and I thought we can learn from it in the martial arts. Peace.